Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Happy New Year. I think I saw everyone on Thursday, so it feels like it's only been a few days, I guess, because it has only been a few days. Um, so yeah, it's happy 2026, and always at the beginning of the year, I think it's a great opportunity to kind of obviously we did our reflection of last year and to look forward to the new year. I'm a very optimistic person. So I was kind of like to wonder what this year will hold, right? And kind of looking forward into 2026. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? Of course, I'm really hoping True Mother's freed from the detention center and we have a kind of, we can claim some victory from that. But of course, it could be the opposite. It could be persecution against us increases, right? Um, True Mother could also go to Spirit World this year, and that would force, a very strong transition kind of in the culture, what's happening in our movement. Hopefully, the war in Ukraine and Russia can come to an end, right? That would be a great thing to happen this year. Hopefully, things can improve in Israel and Palestine, right? And then there's many other things that can happen, sometimes completely by surprise. I don't know if everyone heard that Trump just went down to Venezuela and took their president and brought him back to the States. Kind of a crazy thing. I didn't even have time to really digest it, but it was just like just took the head of the state and the wife out with him. And now they're in America in prison. So crazy things can always happen, right? But ultimately, the hope is the world is getting better, right? We want there to be less war. There's a lot of wars that aren't in the forefront of our minds, that aren't things we see in the news or are as consciously aware of as the ones I mentioned, but sometimes they're just as deadly, just as much suffering, if not more. Um, but in a way, the things I just mentioned are really things outside of our control, or at least our direct control. Of course, we can pray for them. We do pray for them. We care about our brothers and sisters, even the ones we've never met. But it's not something we can directly impact or feel like we can control very easily, right? And so, one of the things that I'm always very inspired about the principle is really the sacredness, the core role of individual responsibility, right? Each of us is responsible for the things we can change, the things in our own lives, the immediate direct impact of the people we interact with, right? So always, when I start a year, I really try to think about what can I do to grow, to change, right? And I really wanted to thank Lisa because she gave a very nice New Year's Eve reflection. It was quite a wonderful atmosphere. And not I don't do that kind of reflection every year. So I was really grateful for the opportunity. And I felt, I've as I've gotten older, I've been very hesitant to do New Year's resolutions, right? Because I guess I have more experience failing at succeeding in my New Year's resolutions, right? And so, but the reflection was really good because it wasn't really a resolution. It's just thinking of things that uh, kind of a question and answer style. So I could just answer honestly to myself, what happened last year? What do I hope happens this year? So it was quite aspirational. It's quite optimistic. It was kind of looking into the future, things that I'd like to happen. But one thing I was kind of reflecting on, thinking is, when I'm trying to plan for this new year, what does God want from me? How do I figure that out, right? If God is looking at me as a child, as a parent, um, what would He want me to do, right? And of course, that's a very hard question to answer because God is in many ways still very distant. But what would a parent want for their child, right? When I think about that, I was thinking it's very interesting because parents are kind of leading the way, so to speak, right? So they're kind of ahead in the path of life from their children. So they can kind of look back when they see their children to a certain extent, they know some things that are going to happen or that they hope will happen, right? For example, I was just thinking about David and Anya. They brought Aiden to the New Year's lunch, right? And I'm sure that James and Rose, looking at them as a family with a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, right? They're kind of wondering, maybe it's time to have another one, right? It's like there's this kind of desire as a parent to always see growth for the children, right? Improvement for the children. What's the next step in their life, right? Um, obviously, all of the parents of our single brothers and sisters are probably maybe more worried than them about their matching and blessing, their future relationship, right? Um, Maybe they don't always say it or talk about it, or maybe they do, right? But it's always a parent's heart as they want to see their child happy. They want to see them in the next stage of life and preparing and being well set up for the future, right? Um, so all parents, they always want all their children to overcome struggles, to be successful, to grow, right? And this is the other thing about the principle I've always felt is so clear and kind of so different from maybe other faiths or other philosophies is this kind of idea of the growth stage, right? That we're always growing, that we're always trying to get closer to God. There's an end goal, right? The principle is almost the opposite of the cultural phrase, you're perfect the way you are, right? And of course, I understand that sentiment. It's actually very healing and helpful for people if they feel very guilty, if they struggle with self-esteem. It's important that people understand that they are valuable just as people, right? That they don't have to be valued based on what they accomplish, the things they do. But still, it's that individual portion of responsibility. We have to be growing. We have to be coming closer to them. We have to find a way um, to move forward, right? So, so I was thinking, of course, I think about this every year, every New Year's, right? I'm kind of looking and wondering, how do I grow? How do I improve myself, right? And like I was saying, it becomes harder every year to write out like a New Year's resolution because I feel like, well, I'm gonna fail, right? And I've tried different approaches to this. I told myself, oh, I'll write them in February where the inspiration wears down and maybe it's more realistic, right? By February, I get too busy and I need to do it, right? So it is kind of a critical time now before, work starts again tomorrow, full time. Everyone's back in the office. I did a little work on Friday, total crickets, no emails, right? So I know Monday's just gonna be like everyone's back. Everyone's gonna be like, "What's going on?" Let's start up this conversation again. Let's see if we can do this. So there's this kind of precious time we have, maybe till the end of today, until we go to bed, or maybe next weekend, right? But where we can really make some determination, some reflection, some effort to grow, right? And how do we grow? So I just kind of wanted to share this, um, my own approach a little bit. I don't know if it'll be helpful. I don't know if but hopefully there's something in it that's helpful, right? Because something I feel like actually last year I succeeded. Even though I didn't make a New Year's resolution, I did improve two elements of my life that I've been actually working a long time on. I finally succeeded in kind of breaking through, right? And so I kind of want to take that approach again this year. It's just focus on one thing that I actually feel I can grow, an area that I know I need to grow in, and just really push in that one area very strongly, very sincerely, and try different things and figure out a way to build that new habit or to deepen my capability, right? So I think there was three elements to the success last year, and it's something I think are three elements always when we're trying to grow. And I think the first is and I always find this with the life of faith and even just kind of self-awareness is some level of humility, right? And what I mean by that is being able to really accept the things that we're doing, to kind of see our shortcomings and understand them, right? But also a little bit, because we do have our own self-image, right? We have our view of ourselves. We feel like this is who I am. These are the things I'm good at. These are the things I'm bad at. These are the things I'm working on. But there's also that element of maybe I'm wrong about what I'm bad at and what I'm good at, right? Maybe there's something in my preconception of myself or my view of myself that's actually blocking me from seeing something I do need to, right? And so that's a question I try to constantly ask myself is, am I missing something, right? Am I is my kind of self-awareness accurate, right? Or is there a part of me that actually does need to change and I'm holding on to it, or I like that part of me, but it's a part of me that is blocking me from reaching God or blocking other people from reaching God. So so there's kind of two aspects of that. One is being able to kind of accept, as we kind of do know the things that we need to work on, right? And being able to accept that and to be able to identify it, but also keeping the door open to find something that God might be wanting to tell us about, something we need to change, or something, some perspective we need to have, right? And then for me, I think this becomes even more relevant as I get older, is actually believing I can change those things, right? So this is what I was saying about the New Year's resolutions and always failing them, right? And it kind of gets to a point where it's very easy. I kind of joke now, I'm getting older, getting set in my ways becomes harder to change, right? And so even though you might recognize, okay, I have these shortcomings, I have these flaws, or I struggle with this, it just becomes, well, that's who I am now, right? Like, it's too late. I'm not going to change those things. Uh, and, Father talks about this a bit. He talks about learning. You have to learn as much as you can by the time you're 30, right? Because after that, you're too old, it's too late. Can't learn new things almost, right? That's almost the way it sounds when Father's talking about it. And I don't think it means you can never learn something new, but there is obviously a change in the way your brain works, the way your body works, right? And even I always find it fascinating. They do these studies on like chess grandmasters and champions, right? And there's a certain age where like the world champion just can't hold on to his title, right? His ability to play chess declines, somewhere between 35 and 40, but his skill starts to go down, right? It's very slow and gradual, but it's very obvious, right? And then eventually they lose the world champion title, and a younger person kind of takes it, right? You also see it in sports, right? All the sports players kind of prime ages, 18 to 27, maybe 30 if they stretch it, right? After 30, you can't really be a professional sports player in most sports, right? Baseball's a little easier to play, so they go a little longer. So, but my point is it's very easy to make that kind of excuse, right? I'm just getting too old, change is too hard, right? Um, or this has just become a part of who I am. This is what makes me comfortable. This is what makes me happy, right? So for me, it's very important to really believe that it's possible to change them, right? In myself. So one is accepting it, right? And two is actually believing I can change it. Um, and the last point for me is then that determination to do something, to actually make the change, right? And that's kind of the key element. And one of my favorite questions from the reflection time, I think I remember correctly, is it was like, oh, list all these things you can do to improve your relationships. Like write down all the things you could do to improve your relationships, either with your parents or with your children or with your spouse, with your friends, with colleagues, right? And so you write out all these different things you could do to improve your relationships, right? And then the next question is, all right, pick one or two that you actually will do. right? I thought that was my favorite question the whole night. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna do any of those things, right? Like, yeah, all of that stuff's a bit like they're good ideas, but the effort to do them, right? No, I did pick one or two. But that's kind of what I mean is, you can accept you have faults, you can believe you can change them, but always the hardest step is the action. Say, okay, this is what I'm going to do to change it, right? And that's why, looking back, I think last year I somehow cracked that. I was able to actually do something to change something I've been kind of working on. And well, let me check the time. Maybe I'll give that example. I was kind of, yeah. So um, I've always been trying to improve my health, right? And there's many things I try, and I try different things. But I kind of got there's one sport I really like doing that I find I know like intellectually if I can do it twice a week, I'll live an extra 10 years. That's kind of my my formula. And that's swimming. I like to swim. I enjoy swimming. It's really good for me. But I have to drive 20 minutes to swim. I have to wake up early in the morning to do it. It's been really, really hard. And even to do it once a week was almost impossible. I ended up doing it like twice a month on a good month, but honestly, it'd be twice a month, month, 0 month, well, the next month, one another month. Right? So this is about building a good habit and trying to um, improve my health, right? And finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to try a different swimming pool. It's also 20 minutes away, but it's a different location. So maybe that's better. Maybe it's less crowded, right? Because one thing about swimming is it can get crowded and that makes it a bit less motivating to go. And then, so it was a different location. I decided to go on a Monday because usually I was going like on a Thursday. Because I'm going to go on a Monday, try to start the week. Um, and it was really, I felt really great afterwards. I was like, this is great. I should do this every day. It's kind of when it clicked, is like, yeah, I will do this every day. That was kind of my determination. I will do this every day. And the only way this is going to work is if I do it every day. Because I wasn't going consistently, I wasn't paying the membership. I was just paying the one time. So, all right, I'm going to go tomorrow. Natty got sick that night. I had to go. I was like, all right, I'm going to go the next day. So I did go the next day. And then I went again on Friday. When I went on Friday, because something came up Thursday, right? I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can go every weekday, Monday to Friday. I can push myself to go every day. If I miss a day, I still have 4 other days, right? So I'll get at least the 2 or 3 times a week. So I bought the membership, right? And that's the first time I bought an actual like monthly membership to a swimming pool and a gym, right? And then I also went to the gym, they did that was kind of a new thing to kind of help. Part of it is like I gotta make my money's worth. But if I get past 2 days, the third day I'll go to the gym. I hate gyms, by the way. I'm like, oh, I'll try to learn. And so I did that the last 3 months of the year. Even though I was gone for a week here, gone for a week Christmas, I went enough times to cover my monthly payment, let's say. So that was like, to me, that was a big victory because that's like years of not building that habit, finally being able to kind of crack it. Um, so, so again, this year, I want to do that one thing. I have one thing I'm trying to do and focus on and accomplish. Um, and if that's successful by June, maybe I'll do a second thing, right? So but I just really feel like I can do one thing a year, even though I'm old and set my limits, right? I feel like um, that'll have a positive impact, right? It'll have a positive impact, not just on me, but on my family, on the community, right? And the last point I wanted to make about growth and about our individual growth is I think one of the powers of the principle perspective and the perspective I try to have is when you read self-help or like personal growth type of advice, I find it's good, it's useful, it's very practical, it's things people need to read and understand, but it's very kind of focused on yourself, right? Like you need to be healthy, you need to be a better person, you need to be motivated. But what I think the principal perspective on growth is if you can grow, then that has a halo effect to everyone around you. You have you're a better person in your family, right? You have a better influence on the community, right? Even the nation becomes stronger because each of us are pillars of this nation, of this world, right? So I think it's, for me, something that does motivate me, I think in a very healthy way through the principle, is thinking of growth as something that isn't just for me, right? If everyone raises their standard just one thing every year, then the impact will be massive, right? At the same time, you also have to keep the standard you currently have, right? So that's also a struggle. If we keep what we have and we can grow a little bit, then it's not just us who benefits. That growth can benefit everyone connected to us, everyone around us, right? So, and I think again, from the perspective of a parent looking at a child, right? If a child can get better at something, like Caspian really wants to help me around the house and do the dishes, right? That's very sweet. That's very good for him, for his character development and his future life. But that'll really help his mother, which will really help his father, which will help his siblings, right? So there's a kind of, just in a family environment, you can see how one small change really has the almost a beautiful kind of impact circle, let's say, right? So so yeah, growth I think is really a core of what it means to be following the principle, right? Following true parents. I think true parents, what really made them true parents is they never stopped, right? They never really took a break. They never stopped kind of pushing the providence forward. They never stopped trying to teach people, raise people up, trying to set the standard, right? So I think that does, in some ways, put a lot of maybe burden on our shoulders. But I think if we can see it from God's perspective, the benefit, right? That growth is really part of our faith, right? That we're always trying to move forward. We're always trying to get closer. We're always trying to deepen our ability to love other people and love, um, even people that are very hard to love, right? So that's my New Year's message, the first Sunday of the year. So I hope some of that can be helpful, practical, useful. And I will end with a prayer. Everyone can join me on prayer. Sarang Manashin Anil Kumam. Our beloved and precious Heavenly Parent, we start 2026, as always, with a heart of gratitude for the life, the family, the communities that we have around us. Every single person's situation is obviously very different. Everyone has some level of suffering and challenges in their daily lives or in their past that still impacts them and affects them. So I pray for all our brothers and sisters, not just in our Irish community, not just in our family federation community around the world, but each person here in Ireland, each person in every country, that throughout this year, a part of their heart can be healed, that they can feel love, your love, if possible directly, but as is usually the case, through good people around me. It can help them feel hope and help them feel direction and love. And I pray we also who are here together, who are serving you and doing our best to follow the principle, to follow true parents, to understand our responsibility and our mission, can also be encouraged and filled up by each other and by you, especially when we struggle, especially when we have doubts, especially when we face challenges that can often feel overwhelming or beyond our abilities. We pray we can, in those moments, really feel supported, really feel loved, really understand our value as children of the heavenly parent who loves us unconditionally. As we start this new year, unfortunately, our true mother is held in detention by a hostile government. And I pray it's a situation that can be quickly resolved. We really pray for our brothers and sisters on the front line in Korea, offering 24-hour devotion for Mother outside the detention center, really setting the example of um, peaceful and sincere um, resistance to the injustice that's happening. And I pray here in Ireland we can really start this year with a united heart to move forward and accomplish great things together, to really bring your heart and your love to the people of this nation by becoming people ourselves who can embody it and set the example. And so I pray, just in closing, I'm so grateful for everything that I have. Grateful to be here with the brothers and sisters today, brothers and sisters joining over Zoom, and the brothers and sisters who couldn't make it today or who maybe have lost faith and wandered a bit away. Our doors are always open. We always pray that they can feel inspired to come back and become part again of Heavenly Parents, Holy Community, part of our extended family of brothers and sisters. So I report this with a grateful heart in attendance to Holy Mother, in the name of young Eli, blessed central family. Okay, thank you everyone. I'll welcome Shark up.